Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all tuned in to Talent. Talent stands for Take a Look Inside Truth. For y'all that's new here, I got a guest with me. I'm your host, KG, and I got my girl Cindy right here. What's
Hey,
up, Cindy?
hello.
So we come to hopefully bless y'all today with a message that somebody can benefit from. So y'all just stay tuned in and just enjoy the show. So, anyway, Cindy, I want to jump right into
Let's
it
do it.
because so I got you here because I know that you have a testimony
Mm.
that I think that I want you to share because I think that many people will be blessed by your story. So I'm not gonna hold you up too long or whatever, but I want you to kind of like tell us a little bit about yourself. You new, and let them get familiar with you or whatever, and you can start from like the beginning. Like we want to get to know you.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So, hello everybody. My name is Cindy, and I'm 34 years old. I've actually been impacted by the justice system, and it's crazy because throughout my life, I never like thought that I would end up in prison. That was never the plan for me. Like I always had like these goals and ideas and plans. But I guess I just didn't know how. And then starting from my childhood, um, I mean, I could say it started when I was 4 years old, when my dad left, and it's crazy because I still remember that moment, kind of like vividly a little. I remember there was like a black trash bag on the side of the couch in the living room, and he called me, and I sat on his lap, and he was crying, and I was like, Dad, why are you crying? I'm 4 years old. I'm like, Dad, why are you crying? So concerned, about my dad. And I don't really remember the exact words he said, but he was like basically saying like I have to go, and that it's not working out here, and but it doesn't mean that I don't love you. Like I love you. I'm still gonna be here for you and stuff like that. So, now, living without my dad, I mean, he would come around like once a month maybe,
yeah, yeah.
once in a while, and but now it's my mom. My mom, I'm the youngest of three, so now it's my mom raising three girls. We're all girls.
Oh dang.
And so, mind you, having to have a full-time job, and I honestly think if I could sit here and look back, I can sit here and tell you that I think my mom like suffered a lot from that. Like it
Yeah,
really
most
impacted
definitely.
her.
Yeah.
It impacted her so much to where she would come home from work and go to sleep. you
Like
know
in some
uh
depression almost.
definitely. So my older sister was the one that took the mom role.
Hmm.
She was the one that was like getting us dressed, feeding us. I mean, my mom, I'm not saying she wouldn't cook. She would cook, but it was more so I remember my sister kind of like taking that parent role.
Yeah.
And so, now I'm, growing up, going to school and, kind of like I felt like always the oddball out. I always felt like an outcast. Like I never felt like I fit in junior high, elementary, stuff like that. And
Where'd
I
you
was
go to
always,
school at?
so I grew up in Somar, San Fernando.
Okay.
And so I went to like three elementaries. I went to Sharp, and then which is in Pacoima, and then
Hmm.
I went to Gridley, which is in San Fernando, and then I went to what's the other one? Damn. Oh, I went to Nevada because I ended up moving with my
Oh,
dad.
okay. Oh,
So in
okay.
Canoga Park. So starting with elementary, I just it was weird. Kids were mean. Like I remember
Yeah.
kids were just so cruel, so mean and so cruel. And junior high, it wasn't until that kind of stuff affected me. Because I was a little ugly duckling, so they used to say when I was little.
Yeah.
And I was like very hairy. And it was funny because the kids used to call me a hairy monkey,
Oh
like cold,
man,
like
kids
just
ain't got no filter. They gonna let you have it.
so
Yeah.
mean, and like that stuff. I remember I came home. This was in junior high. I came home and I shaved everything, my legs,
Mm.
my arms, like because that like really affected me really bad. And I remember one time I'm in the car, and my mom, she was looking for her purse. I think I was sitting in the back. She was looking for her purse, so she's like in the back. She's all looking and stuff. So she felt my legs, and she was like, hijo de tu chingada madre. And I'm like, oh my God. So she whooped me. She whooped me because, my mom was just like, no makeup, you can't shave. Like,
You was
you're
too
not,
young for
I
that.
was too young,
Yeah.
but you're old school,
Yeah.
and, but she didn't understand. Like, and she never really understood, like, but that's because at home it wasn't really too much communication. Like, there
Mm.
wasn't so much of, like, talking about your feelings,
So you pretty much had to like go out, not only did you have to deal with these kids, and then it's like at some point, you begin to build up or try to figure out your identity and grow like some sort of self-esteem, and whether you had low self-esteem and or you know what I'm saying, high self-esteem at that time, you even had nobody to kind of boost you up. So
I didn't even know what self-esteem was.
dang.
You know, or worth. I didn't know because, again, my mom's suffering with her situation with being without my dad. And, like even when it came to homework or when it came to, there was no eating together at the table when it was dinner time. Like it was just basically like eat and do your homework if you do it, not even checking if I did my homework, and so I had no guidance. Basically that's all in all was what it was, is I had no guidance. And so, again, like I used to even dress different. I went through so many phases, from like my punk rock scene to like my rockabilly scene to like my skater scene. Like I went through so much, just again trying to find myself, and I just still, I didn't really felt a part of, even when I had a group of people, I just still felt like out of place,
So like, what about your sisters? Like, so, because I know you said your older sister kind of took on like the mom role. So like, you never like tried to talk to her, like, what do I do? Like, how am I, like, how sometimes your kids go in, like, you want your hair a certain way. Can you do my hair a certain way? Like, I'm trying to, because at some point you try to fit in with the girls you looking at and who seem probably popular or, anything like that. So you didn't, like, try to go to them for, like, no type of guidance?
So I really don't remember. That's the crazy part, like even the relationships with my sisters. Like I remember us fighting a lot, I remember fighting a lot. And I think they were all in their own little world too. I think we all dealt with dad gone differently.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a, let's go through this together. I think we all dealt with it individually. Because even like my older sister, I remember she, started having her boyfriends. And I think she wanted to just finally live her life. So she left. She left at a young age. I think she left at 17, if I'm not mistaken, to go live with her boyfriend. But I think I could just imagine. And it's funny because me and my sister just talked about this the other day, how, all of us went through something and we don't even know what that looks like. Like, I don't know what it looked like my sister growing up. I don't know what it looked like my other sister growing up. And they don't know how I grew up. Like it was just, again, I think we all went through our stuff individually.
Man, that's deep.
And my middle sister, her too, I think she went into like, hanging out with like her little punk rock friends. And so when my older sister left, then I got close or tried to get close to my middle sister, and I think I was like maybe like 13, 14 when, again, I was trying to find myself, trying to find some kind of identity. And, she was 5 years, she was 5 years older than me. And I remember, I used to bug her, like, let me go out with you, like, let me go out. And she was like, no, she was like, you can't come with me, like, I'm doing my thing, you can't come with me. So here I go telling my mom, I'm like, Mom, I was like, Mom, I want to go with my sister. So then my mom would be like, you can't go if you don't take your sister. So it was one of those.
Yeah.
My sister was pissed. She was like, I can't believe. She's like, you're such a snitch. Da, da, da. And I was like, man. But then we became cool because then she was like, look, whatever I do, you don't tell Mom. Like, whatever happens here, like, And so I'm like, okay, well, let me drink too.
Yeah, let me drink too.
No, but let me go back a little bit. I started smoking and drinking like before I was even hanging out with her. Like when I started hanging out with her, I was already like, drinking. I took my first sip of alcohol at 13. I took my first cigarette 13. I think my first weed was probably 12.
Did you find like some group of friends that you like started to hang with, and this was just what y'all did, or you did this by yourself?
By myself, like at school. I've learned all this at school, and just trying to fit in, Again, finding myself. Like the key thing I think for me was finding myself, and so when I finally, took that first hit or drink, I felt like my reality was just pushed away and pushed aside. And I think that's what like kind of like really connected me to that, because I guess the life that I was living, I just didn't, maybe it wasn't fulfilling enough for me. I didn't feel like I was heard, paid attention to, at home. So I think like once I finally started, using those things, it was just kind of like an escape from reality. And I took it too far, but I'll tell you a little more ahead. But
and it's crazy because it's like for once in your life at some point, unfortunately, like you finally found some connection to something.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
And it wasn't even like a healthy thing.
It wasn't even healthy, but it was,
Yeah.
and that's why they say it's important to, as parents and as, just siblings and to pay attention to your peers, because you're going to find a connection. That's not the problem. The problem is which connection are you going to find?
Right.
And then you just so happen to, find that one. But like, how was the neighborhood? Like, did you ever gangbang, anything like that?
So I was never, like I never actually got into anything, but I
Okay.
was like associated, and but that didn't start till maybe I was a little late bloomer, so maybe like 17, 18,
Okay.
when I started getting into the harder drugs. Like that's how basically it started. Like when I started hanging out with them was because of my drug use. It wasn't even because I knew people or my family. My family, they, my uncles and stuff, they're old already. They're, and some of them already are passed away, and but they were from, Pacoima. But, again, I grew up in San Fernando, and those are two rival gangs, so I didn't grow up in Pacoima. So, I didn't really, really, it's funny because even when my uncles found out, what I was doing, they were kind of like talking crap, like, well, what are you doing hanging out over there? And I'm like, and I was young, so
Yeah.
the stupid thing that I said was, well, you guys didn't lead me the right way. You guys didn't, like basically you guys didn't introduce this to me, so that's not my fault.
Because at some point you began to feel like, well, probably like resent everybody. Like, shut up, don't tell me nothing. Because when I needed y'all to tell me something, everybody was in their own world.
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah, yeah. And so, again, like going back to junior high, hanging out with my sister, like me and her ended up getting really close. And, and I'm partying with her. But, and again, like even like just in high school, like, and then the same people that I hung out with in junior high, we still hung out in high school. And, but the crazy thing is, some of us that were like in that kind of group of friends, like it wasn't like all of us became addicted like I did. It was like some people knew to like stop and get their life together.
Now, when you say, okay, so when you said addicted, like now I know you said you was drinking, smoking weed, but it was other stuff?
Yeah, so it progressed. Like my addiction progressed, and it was like at 15, 14 when I started doing pills, like Valium and what else? Ecstasy, like I just, I don't know if you ever heard that saying, like either go big or go home.
Yeah.
I just never went home.
Dang.
I never went home. And, like with the addiction part, like I was like really, and at that age, I didn't think nothing wrong. I didn't think nothing wrong of what I was doing. Like, I just thought that's what everybody did. Clearly, the crowd of friends that I was hanging out with did it too. So it wasn't like that I thought it was an actual problem, but I think it was more so when I started getting lonely. I started getting lonely because like people that I used to hang out with were kind of looking at me like, hey, you're crazy. Like,
So now like, it's like, well, once like kind of like brought all y'all together, you took that too far. They like far. Now you on some whole other level, like you beyond, like they probably started to look at you like one of them girls where their parents was like, don't hang with her.
Exactly. Even my own family, Okay, so yeah, that's another thing too. Thank you for bringing that up. I grew up in a Christian home.
Okay.
I grew up in a Christian home, and all my aunts and uncles were so like holier than thou, and again, I was that black sheep, where like I wanted to hang out with my cousins, and when I would go out to family gatherings, I was always like looked at different by my own family even then. So can you just imagine, not only do I feel separate at home or not like acknowledged at home, like now I'm like being looked at in a way by
and
my
at
family.
This time you about what, 15 you say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So now I'm like, I came from that kind of Christian family where like if you wear black you're going to hell.
Oh, yeah.
I was one of those. They were one of those, and so here I am with my hair dyed, got piercings in my face. I'm like,
straight gothic.
Yes, well, whatever they call it, and it was just always, and I didn't have that many cousins my age, but the ones that were kind of my age, like I would have loved to have like a relationship, but yeah, my aunts were like, stay away from us, like,
Yeah.
And even then, I remember one time my cousin finally did go out with me. I was probably like 16, 17. I brought her home drunk. Oh my gosh, I brought her home drunk. So, I mean, I get it. Now looking back, I'm like, I can't understand, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't really bring anybody with me.
Because you began to have such a strong influence now, you know, because you was doing things that people your age, well, a lot, you know, was not doing. And so you were that one that looked like you was having fun. And so for the younger ones who would look at you, like you was able to either pull them in, or, you know, people, parents, like they said, they would just don't hang with her. So, like, did your mom begin to see the change in you? Like, because I know.
Well, it was like at 14 when I started kind of doing what I wanted to do, where I felt like she didn't have no more control, you know, because she knew that I was, you know, because I would come home with my eyes red, and she would know, you know, and of course she would yell at me, but I mean, what was that going to do? It didn't stop me, you know, like, I think the way that, you know, she would come at me about things, it wasn't as effective, so to speak, you know, and like I would come home after school. I would literally, the goal after school was always to get 40s and hang out at the park and, you know, smoke your little weed, and then, you know, come home, and then I'd be faded. Like, no time for homework, no time for nothing, you know? And I remember, like, it got to that point where my mom couldn't tell me anything. So now I'm coming home. Now I'm even coming home on the weekends drunk, losing my keys, and now she's, you know, I'm banging at the door in the middle of the night. She opens the door, and she would still beat me. She would not care. She would whoop me, you know? Like, I think the last time she actually laid a hand on me, I was 19.
Oh, yeah.
So I would come home, and she, you know, she would, like, grab me by my hair, throw me in the tub, and, like, whoop my ass. I remember this one time my aunt had to literally stop her, like, hey, that's enough.
So it got bad to the point, like, you was getting out of control, and she, because she didn't begin to handle it at the proper age with disciplining you, now she just super just over it with you. Dang.
Yeah. So, and with the water on too, she'll beat me with the water on. My aunt had to come tell her, hey, that's enough, like, you know. And then the next morning I'd wake up like nothing, I don't remember, you know. And then it started the hospitalizations, you know. Then it started that, like, I was getting heavy, you know. I got into this this was when I was like my senior year, maybe, I think. And that was like a scare for me, but, you know, I'll fast forward. But that day, I remember I went to this punk rock show, and, you know, I was like smoking weed, and, you know, I was chugging out of the actual, whatever, I think it was Captain Morgan, chugging out of the whole bottle, just like nothing, you know, thinking I was so cool. And I got really wasted. I blacked out. I was a blackout drunk. I was one of those, you know. I was a blackout drunk. And this one time, I fell in a pile of bricks face first, you know. And I remember the kind of friends we have, right? The kind of friends that we think we have. I remember, you know, I don't remember. The reason why I remember is because the next day my friend ended up my little friends from back in the day checked up on me, right? And the guy that actually drove us there was the one that was like trying to leave me at the park and just leave me there. Like, not even take me home or nothing. Just like, oh, let's just leave her at the park.
After
like,
you fell.
Yeah, like face bloody, everything. He was just kind of like, let's get rid of her because, you know, liability type of thing, you know? And my other friend was like, no, I know where she lives. Like, take her home. So, had it not been for him, I don't know what would have happened that night. But, so I went home, and they left me on the wrong floor because it was a 3-story apartment. But it's okay. He knocked and left, you know? He was just like, I don't want to get in trouble. Let me just at least make sure she's fine. And the people that opened the door were like, who the hell is this? Like, we don't know this is wrong door. Mind you, it was the wrong apartment. And my friend lived in that same hallway from that same floor. And she was like, that's Cindy. Oh, my God, call 911. And I woke up in the hospital the next morning. I'm in the hospital. I got my whole family in a circle holding hands and the chaplain praying. And I was just like, what the hell happened? You know? And that was like, I think that was the first time where I actually felt where I needed a change, you know? And so I gave my life to God, you know, like on a serious note. And I was going to church. Like, literally, my life changed. Like, from that moment, my life changed for a little while. Only a little while. But, you know, I think that was the first time I ever felt, like, on fire for God. Like, where I actually felt, like, a close relationship. And I was going to church, and I was praying, and I was, you know, reading my word. And, you know, in school, I'm carrying the Bible. Now I'm one of those at school with the Bible carrying. And, like, oh, God, and all this and all that. And, you know, everybody was probably looking at me like, okay, like, this is not going to last long, you know, because they already knew the kind of crazy person that I was. And so, yeah, that only lasted like 3 months, you know?
Yeah, probably. I mean, but, you know, that's just, like, you just basically had like a wake-up call.
It was a little wake-up call. Yeah, because, I mean, I always knew that I had God in my life, you know?
Yeah,
I said, I always knew who he was, you know. I'm still a firm believer. I love God, and, you know, I believe in Jesus Christ, you know, and But I feel like in that moment, like I actually felt, him, and, got baptized and everything. And I don't know what my turning point was. If I could be honest, I think it was a relationship. I remember I got into a relationship with a boy at church. And
your turning point going back.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to my BS,
Right.
and I had met this boy at church, and we were living that Christian relationship, and I mean I had already lost my virginity prior to that, but I was trying to live that Christian life,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I don't know what happened, and I think because of the relationship, I ended up like going back because I was just like, well, this was,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe heartbreak, maybe I don't really remember, but I don't know what it was that I finally was like, okay, let me just keep drinking again, and I started drinking. And so I'm graduated high school. I actually graduated on stage. I don't even know how I copped that, but I graduated on stage, and I actually was in the choir,
Okay.
and yeah, and then so then I met my son's dad, and
Okay.
that's where like my life went
Spiral back down.
but like heavy.
So like, all right, you say you graduated basically, like, but you was still kind of like in church like at this time, so you didn't fully like
No,
go.
I had left church before I graduated.
Oh, you
So
did.
it was like 3 months only. So from that
okay.
accident, 3 months, and then this was before I graduated because I already had met my son's dad like a couple months before I graduated.
Okay, now within like that period of time, was you ever locked up anywhere between there?
No.
Okay, so dang, so then it started to get
It spiraled.
okay.
So now this is where the heavy stuff comes.
Okay.
So it started with my son's dad, and I met him, and I think he was like asking me out every day. And at that time, mind you, even though I hung out with people that were from a neighborhood, it was like I still wasn't infatuated by the lifestyle.
Uh-huh.
I was just still like, I'm just trying to get high. Like, I don't know what you guys do on your own time, but I'm just here to get high, and I'm here to leave, like, once I'm done. But,
So he was actually from that area. Like what type of person was he? Like he was like one of them. Like when I say
a bald headed fool.
like
That's
okay,
what
so he was like a cholo,
involved.
Like,
yeah,
like he was okay.
Yeah.
So then you is like
And I'm still trying to stay away from that. I'm like, ew, like, get away from me. Because
Okay.
I don't even like cholos. That was
Okay.
my mindset. Like, I don't even like cholos. Like, get away
you
from
like
me.
you gonna like me.
Yeah. Well, and then so I think it was him asking me every day for 2 weeks straight, be my girlfriend, be my girlfriend, I'm like, no, but I'm still hanging out with him though.
Yeah.
Be my girlfriend, be my girlfriend. But that's because we were getting high off crystal.
Oh, okay.
We were getting high off crystal, and so I think that was like my push, I guess.
Okay.
And so, I met him, and then, we got together after 2 weeks of him asking me every day, because at this point I'm pretty much annoyed. So we got together, and then, I ended up getting pregnant. Well, mind you, within that time, after I got graduated, I, like, remember I was, like, I wanted to do the National Guard.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be an airborne nurse. I just wanted to be some kind of, like, nurse. That's what I wanted to do after high school.
Okay.
But again, this came from, like, no type of, like, push from family, and if my dad ever did give me advice, I think it was just more so of like, you can do something with your life. You're young.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want to do. But I think for me, it was just one in ear, out the other.
Because it was just like when they was like hands on with you, it was only hands on when you was going down. But when you was like, okay, I'm level, this probably y'all time where y'all can help like push me in a certain direction. It was kind of like she got it, she's all right. But then, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't really too much like you didn't have a guidance.
Yeah. Yeah, because I didn't know, even when I, in the future, when I started doing like parenting classes, I came to learn about praising and, acknowledging and, like that's like very important to like, grow your kids' self-esteem, you know? Because without that, they're not going to think that they're anybody, or that they could do anything, And
So because I don't want you to jump, because I know that at this point, like when you met him and you said you got pregnant, this was kind of like a huge part of your life even to today.
Mm-hmm.
So when what did you have, boy, girl?
A boy.
You had a boy.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a son, and you guys stayed together?
No. See, man, okay, so I'll get into that. So, I met him, and we were getting high together, and he introduced me to everybody, like people from the neighborhood. He introduced me, and I met a lot of people, and which was, I feel like, that was a mistake, I feel like, if looking back now, I'm like, damn, if you would have just never brought me up or brought me around, I would have never went as far as I did. Because it even got to the point where, now, after I found out, because we broke up before I even found out I was pregnant. So we were already broken up. And we only were together for like 2 months. Like before everything, right? So, me, I'm young. I'm young, and I'm like, I don't care about what you're talking about. I'm heartbroken. You broke my heart. I'm going to go hang out with your homies without you. And that's what happened. Like, I started coming around by myself. I don't even know how did I even cop that? I don't remember about a phone number by somebody. I don't even know, but I started going out, by myself without him and going around these people, and they didn't care. They were just like, okay, what's up? Like, what's going on, And getting high with them, but like, so that little bit amount of time that I was hanging out with his friends or his associates, then I found out I was pregnant. So, I was like, damn, like, I was heavy, that was like really, like, I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm pregnant with no baby daddy, like, this guy, we're not even together, and I had to make the call. I made the call, and I was like, hey man, like, I got something to tell you. He's like, what? I'm like, I'm pregnant. He's like, it ain't mine. I'm like,
I
was like, look, I said, I mean, it is what it is. Either you're gonna be there or you're not. And
so and you're how old?
I was 18.
Okay.
I was 18. And I remember he came with him and his mom to my house to, like, look at the test.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I'm not lying. Like, I don't know why would you guys think I'm lying, And so I showed him the little paper, because I went to the clinic, and they were like, so basically the mom was like, so what are you going to do? Telling him. His son. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? He's like, well, I'm going to be there, but I don't want to be with her. Like, and I was like, all right, well, I mean, that's fine. I'm not even tripping.
Right.
Even though I was tripping.
Yeah.
But, I was like, all right, But I think after, even when I was pregnant, he did try. Like, we actually did get back together and try doing the whole family thing.
Do the family
thing. Because don't get me wrong, his family, I mean, even to this day, I could tell you, his family is amazing.
Okay.
Like, they've always been very welcoming. They've never judged me. They've seen me through my worst too. They know me even.
Right.
Not just because of him. They know me because I would even come around when he wasn't around. Because we both had a problem. We both had a drug problem. But so they tried their best, or me and him tried to our best at that age.
Mm-hmm.
We're immature.
Yeah.
And, I remember, like, I was pregnant, and, like, he would still go partying. He would come spend the night at my house, or I would go spend the night at his house, and, just the back and forth, young, and, him coming home drunk and faded, and, I remember there's this one time where, like, I had, like, this rat in my house, and I just could not, like, I was frozen, I was frozen, and I called him, like, I need you to come and help me, because I'm scared as hell, and he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm gonna come right now. And, but yeah, like, and he would come drunk and high, and I'm just like, dude, like, we're supposed to be living this, like, healthy life, or trying to
get it together.
Yeah, like, and I don't even think he had a job.
So when you went down, like, further on down the line, like, you had the kid,
so we ended up breaking up during the pregnancy, and I ain't shit. So because of, again, immature and young, we were broken up, and he was dating this girl who I knew from high school, and I couldn't stand this girl. So it was, like, even more worse of a resentment.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, I don't even like this girl. I know her. I don't even like her, and it was kind of like, I felt like she was taunting that in my face. Like, yeah, I got your baby daddy. I'm like, oh, God. So then when I was about to have the baby, like, I asked myself, are you going to call him? Like, are you going to let him know when you're in the hospital?
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't.
You didn't?
No. I had the baby, and I took that away from him. To this day, I regret that so much.
Yeah.
I do. Like, now.
Because it was like a bitter moment.
It was like, I was in my feelings. Yeah, and it's like, dude, like, could you just, that was messed up.
Yeah.
To this day, I still, like, feel really bad, but I gave the baby my last name. Oh. Jeremiah has my last name, and, but again, like, I feel like it was both our fault. It wasn't just mine, because had he probably been a little more, having a job, or, like, trying to be there, or any kind of, because it was ugly. We both had an ugly relationship. It was always arguing, name calling, and.
Yeah, but the truth is it's like, you when you dealing with two young people that's immature, and trying to, and then you bringing a kid into the world.
Mm-hmm.
If you couldn't get it together for yourself, and then you trying to get it together on this level, and you still ain't grew up yet, you can't expect something like that to just magically bring itself, because now y'all feel like, oh, a kid. You feel like I'm still a kid myself. I don't know
Right.
what to do. You know what I'm saying? But at some point, that's why some people tend to grow up with their kids. Like they first kid, witness it all. They
Yeah.
get to see the scum that you probably felt like, but you change through that. Eventually,
Mm-hmm.
some people don't get it together right away. So, I know that y'all was young and y'all didn't fully have it together, but at some point, you just had to kind of like let life take its toll.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, then I had my son, and, I was doing good. Again, another 3 months, for the 3, I don't know, something about the 3 months.
That's your note.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I had my son, but I called him after I was at the house. I was like, hey, like, the baby's born. He was like, well, what hospital you at? I'm like, I'm at home.
Oh, dang.
So I just knew, yeah. He was like, and then he comes, he's sitting next to me. He's like, what's his last name? I'm like, oh, fuck. I was like, mine? He was like, dude, you're cold. I'm like, but, it was, that wasn't cool. Again, like I said, to this day, I'm just like, damn. Anyway, so, I had my son, and, like, for the first 3 months, like, I was, breastfeeding, spending time with him. I ended up getting a job. My first job was at Pollo Loco.
So
I'll never forget.
did your mom help you?
Yeah.
Was she? Okay.
Yeah, because I was living. That was my baby daddy for real. Because she was like feeding my cravings.
No,
She was there for me. My mom was there for me.
Okay.
For sure, and even the whole strapping me up too. She's like, you better put this on after you have this baby. I'm like, I didn't mean you mean literally. Once this baby is out, you literally told me to strap my stomach up, like old school Hispanic moms, right? But yeah, and yeah, that was baby daddy, really. My
No,
mom.
for real. So did she, did you kind of like find this like your first time where like you and her shared like a bond? Exactly.
Yeah, I could say that. Yeah. Yeah, actually, I never thought about that, but yeah, because I mean, even regardless of, and man, I could just even think of how she felt, like feeding my cravings, knowing that like maybe she don't even have it,
Yeah.
And still making way.
Yeah.
Like I would have Jack in the Box a lot. I would go to Menchie's. I don't know if you ever heard of Menchie's, like this yogurt spot a lot,
No.
And that was money, and so but then again, I'm young, I wanted to party, here I am like, oh, mom, can you watch the kid? So I started being one of those. Mom, can you watch the kid? I'm going to go out. No. I'm like, what do you mean no? She's like, no, you got to stay home and take care of this baby.
You got to take care of this baby.
She's like, that's not my kid, that's yours. I was like, but that's your grandchild, your firstborn grandchild. He's like, I don't care. I got to go to work. I'm like, ugh. So, then I started finding people. Like little cousins. My cousins would come. My cousins came through a lot. Like,
to watch them.
And they were kids themselves.
Yo.
They were way younger than me. I think they were maybe, now they're probably like 25, 24, and I'm 34,
Mm-hmm.
so like 10-year gap. And I would call them, and sure enough, they'd come take care of this baby,
Yeah.
But again, I was telling myself, I'm just going to drink. That's nothing.
So you went back to doing your street thing.
Eventually, Eventually, again, I started looking for these people. Then I'm the one looking for these people. At first, it was just partying. I was just going to the weekend partying, and then I was like, this isn't enough anymore. Like, I want to get high, and, man, I started getting high again, and started hanging out with the hood again.
Mm-hmm.
I came back, like, hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah.
Like, I've been gone, but I'm back, and, but it just got worse this time because...
So, with you said Jeremiah? Okay. Is that your only kid?
No, I have a 12-year-old daughter.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So throughout this process of you going back out and you end up getting pregnant again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With him?
With my daughter. No, somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you end up getting pregnant again. You went back. You was, doing your thing. You was getting high and stuff.
Yeah, but it got worse. Like I started doing criminal things. This is where the criminality started happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it went from, just going to parties to now hanging out with the hood, and now the hood is, like, putting in work, Now I'm over here doing things,
So now you ain't from there, but you from there, like that.
I guess associated, I guess. I hate to say it, but, But again, it wasn't even because of the honest. If I could sit here and tell you, if I'm gonna be 100% honest, it had nothing to do with the gang life.
No.
I just wanted to get high, and I did whatever it took. You want me to go help you do this? I'll go help you do that. You need help do this? Okay. As long as I stick around.
Because they feeding this habit.
Yep. Yeah. So, now, and, it's funny because you would think, like, I would think, I kind of wish, I would always say this before, I kind of wish that I had got arrested for the minor things that I had got arrested for. But then if I were to sit here and tell you, I don't think I would have changed.
Nope.
Had I done a little small stint.
No.
But, so, then I started messing with my ex-boyfriend, who also was, like, heavy in my addiction life. This was, baby daddy wasn't as heavy as him. This was somebody that was actually, from the neighborhood, and he was young. He was a year younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it was him who, like, basically, like, another one that would take me around like nothing. Take me around, no care in the world. But I had the car, so that was that. I had the car.
Yeah.
And so, but he was like an in and out type of guy, always going to jail, coming out for a month, and then going back in for months or a couple years, and coming back out. And I met him, and that's with him was the person that I was, like, doing these, like, criminal things with.
But at this time, you said you ain't never been in jail.
No, not yet. So I'm still 19. This is still me at 19.
Okay.
Like 19, 20.
Okay.
And but then, like, this relationship got heavy because like, the drugs, and so it became a domestic violence relationship. And, like, now we're, at first it was him just hitting me, because it was like a shock. I didn't know, like, damn, I've never been in nothing like this, but I didn't want to leave. Not only I became codependent, because not only do I need you for the drugs, but then I don't, it was like one of that fear, like, if I come around your homies and you see me, it's gonna be an issue.
Yeah.
Like, he was the one I was afraid of, like, it was gonna be an issue. But he would go to jail. So then when he would go to jail, here I am now kicking it with the homies still without you. Like, but this is only when you're not. It's only when you're gone.
Yeah.
And I would visit him sometimes at the time when I didn't have a record. I would go visit him, and and, like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna hold it down, but yet here I am doing trifling shit on the side with his own homies, And so then I ended up, while he was locked up, I met somebody else who is my daughter's dad.
Okay.
So this somebody else was, even though I had a domestic violence relationship with this one, it was more of a physical. So now I got with this man, and this was more of a mental. Man, when I tell you I've never been in no mental, at that time I had never been in no kind of, like, mental abuse.
Like verbal
relationship.
Like the.
Just mental, verbal, pumping and fearing me without even laying a hand on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was heavy. And then it's crazy, because if I were to sit here and tell you, I've never seen any kind of, like, I've never seen, like, physical or mental abuse, like, at home, So I'm just like, till this day I still ask myself, like, where did that come from? Like, where did I think that was okay? But I think that has to do with, like, my knowing my self-worth and self-esteem, and I didn't know what it took, or didn't know what it was to, like, to, like, be in a relationship. I didn't know what that looked like, So now, now I'm doing drugs with this man, and I'm, having to wear baggy clothes. I'm, like, looking down on the floor, can't look up because I'm looking at somebody. It was like one of those relationships.
Dang, like a jealous,
mm-hmm.
Like territory, like, don't you.
Yeah, and even if I remember I'd look down and he'd be like, pick your head up. I'm like, okay, so I'll pick it up. Who are you looking at? I'm like, so which one is it? You want me to put my head down so I make sure I don't look at nobody? Or you want me to, not walk with my head down, and then you're going to think I'm looking at people? It was like one of those sick kind of relationships, And then, so it took like 5 months for me to get pregnant. I was waiting for like 5 months. And then I got pregnant. And when I told him, because I remember we had broke up for like one day. And, out of a get back, I was like, I messed with my ex-boyfriend. Like, we broke up. So I messed with my ex-boyfriend, which was true. And the next day we got back together. But I told him, because, again, it was one of those where he made me tell the truth. Well, It was like I felt like I had to tell him the truth because I knew he was going to find out anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that's how in fear he had me, like, because he knew everybody. Some way, somehow, he knew of somebody. So I told him myself, like, before anybody tells you this, I'm telling you. So then when I found out I was pregnant a little bit after that, he was like, that's not mine. That baby is not mine. You
but
cheated
it was.
Yeah. If I could sit here, I look at my daughter, I'm like, yeah. So here I am again, raising another child by myself, because now this one's like, I want nothing to do with it. But at this point, I lost my son.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, like my sister ended up calling DCFS on me.
Why?
Because of my drug use. Because I was like really heavy into my drug use.
So like she feel like you was always out, probably like.
Well, yeah, because I would leave my
him.
son. Like I would leave. I would like literally wait for my mom to go to the bathroom, for me to leave, without even telling her, and then leave my son there, like
So,
without even
okay.
Yeah. And so, at this time when my son was took, I was living on my own, not paying rent somewhere, which was funny.
Yeah.
Like I was I was trying to do the job thing and trying to, while I'm getting high, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't maintain anything like that. And my sister ended up calling DCFS on me, and next thing you know, like I told my sister I'm gonna go to the liquor store, and when I came back, my son was gone. Damn. And I was like, "Where's my son?" She's like,
and instead of taking him, she just felt like, I mean, I can't do it either, so I'm gonna try to get somebody to. It's like
no,
help.
well, so it was I was living with my middle sister. It was the oldest one who called, and she's the one that took him. Damn. Yeah, so at that moment, I got somebody came to my door, was like, "Here, you've been served," and like gave me the papers.
So he wasn't necessarily in a system; he was with her,
with family.
Just through the system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And thank God.
Thank God. Yeah.
God. Yeah. And so at this point, I got heavier into my addiction because I'm like, well, I mean, I didn't know.
Now it's an open way. I'm free again, type of.
Kind of, yeah. Like, yeah, my self-centeredness, yeah, really. Like now I can get high in peace, kind of thing, And but I'm still trying to go to court. I'm still, and basically they're like, either you can go to rehab or you got to figure something, because the way you're going, like I don't see you getting your child back.
Damn.
And then I was pregnant now. Now I'm finding out. I didn't find out I was pregnant until like 2 months later. So I was pregnant for 2 months. I didn't even know I was pregnant. And then when I found out, I was like, okay, like maybe I do need rehab. So it was my first treatment. This is the first time I ever went to rehab.
So you actually went. Okay.
Yeah. So I went to rehab. And then I think I was like 21. Yeah, I was 21. And I went to rehab. And man, I did really good. I stayed there for like a whole year. Like I remember I was there for like a whole year. And I ended up getting my son back. So he came live with me in the rehab. I had my daughter in the rehab. It was a women and children rehab.
Okay.
And and this time I was just like, I was like, I think I got it now. Like I think I'm ready to like get my life together, and be a good mom and work, and because like I was in and out of jobs. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't only have one. I was in and out of jobs, but I couldn't maintain one. I couldn't keep one, And so now I leave. Now I leave the treatment center. And now I think they gave me like a voucher for like to live in a hotel for like a month.
Yeah.
And then after I got into a shelter, and then I did like 6 months maybe, save some money, and then I ended up getting my own apartment.
Okay.
So now I'm like single mom, 2 kids, in an apartment, got my car.
So it's kind of looking job. Up.
It was getting better. Okay. Yeah. Assistance from rental assistance, And everything was cool, I was working, paying my bills, and I was sober because I did the whole recovery thing. This is when I finally got introduced to recovery, like the Narcotics Anonymous recovery.
Okay.
And I found my sponsor, and, I was going to meetings, and, in the meetings, in the rooms, they say, like, you're supposed to do, like, the step work and not just go to meetings.
Yes.
And so what I ended up doing was just going to meetings, and it was, like, something about, like, with me, it was something about me always wanting to be around people who were somebody. Like,
who what?
Like, who were somebody.
Okay.
Like, I was just so used to being with, like, people who are, like, known, or, like, it was what attracted me. That's why I think also, like, the hood life was, like, attracting, because it's, like, I wanted to get up and, just dumb. I wanted to get up and rank and, like, know everybody and, like, and be the one that would be down for everything, like, reliable, whatever.
Mm.
So now here I come into recovery with the same mentality. So my sponsor was well known, well, she was my sponsor to this day, but, she was well known, a lot of my family, my sponsor recovery family, like, they, Danny Trejo was a part of the family, so it was just like, the whole, like, just the facade of it, was what intrigued me, and so, but again, I still didn't help. It still didn't work. Like,
so like at this point you pretty much got like your identity down, to where this is you, and it's becoming like more and more of a struggle. Like you kind of like found yourself. You already got what you what draws you in, what type of people,
Yeah.
what type of personalities and everything like that. And you trying to stay like sober and do the thing for your kids, but like at some point, it ended up getting to the point to where you even went and like you had did some time.
Yeah, so fast forward now, right? I relapsed, I started drinking again. And then now I'm like, okay, the drinking was like, now this is my own place. I have my own place and I'm drinking, I'm still trying to be a mom. I'm trying to juggle everything and it didn't work. So then I'm getting high again, now I'm trying to sell dope this time, and that didn't work because then I started smoking my own supply.
Yeah.
My ex came out of prison, so I let him move in with me. And that's when shit went down even worse again. Like, but then this time I got hooked onto heroin.
Damn.
I got hooked into heroin. So then again, he got busted again. And while this is happening, while he left, he got busted again. And then I ended up getting hooked on heroin. And when I tell you that was the worst I've ever been in my life, was the worst I've ever been in my life. Like, I literally was putting myself in risky situations,
Damn.
like being shot at, stealing, like, coming, just, living in trap houses. Like, like, I was, like, shooting this shit up, Like, it wasn't, like, no joke. I went to that point because I lost my kids again. This time I lost both of them,
Damn.
And so I felt like, well, I've already lost them once. They're not going to give them back to me. So I just said, this is it. Like, I'm done. Like, I gave up. And then here I am hanging out with, the same hood or whatever. And now, I ended up hitting this little, lick or whatever you want to call it that wasn't supposed to turn out the way it did. And sure enough, it became a robbery that I wasn't even aware it was going to be a robbery. I thought it was just going to be a come up. And this robbery, it turned into a robbery, right? And it ultimately turned out to somebody getting killed, And so I fought a life sentence, I fought a life sentence.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a life. It was I got charged with murder, robbery, gang enhancement, and possession of a firearm. And but I was the driver, I wasn't even like the actual perpetrator.
Yeah.
But at that time, that was the law,
At that time, it was.
And so, I'm fighting a life sentence, and so, man, it was
So
like the
did that
scariest
stick?
thing. Well, no, so I I took a deal.
Okay.
I took a deal for 21 years, and it was a manslaughter and a gang enhancement. And so after that, like, still, like, I still remember if I were to tell you what it took for me to take that time, like, I remember I had my dad and, my sister at the courtroom. And when I tell you I let out the worst cry in my life, because I was like 21 years, like, all I kept thinking about was my kids. That's all I kept thinking about was my kids, and I cried and I cried. And at that moment, I didn't even realize the victim's family was there. And all I remember just saying was, like, I didn't mean to hurt anybody. Like, I did not mean to hurt anybody, and because I knew I play a part. I can't sit here and tell you that I'm not at fault to some degree.
Yeah.
Because I was there. I had no business being there. What I should have been doing is trying to get my kids back. Yeah. But here I am, stuck on drugs and in the streets, like, and yeah. So 21 years so now I'm in prison, and that was a whole nother ball game too.
It's a whole nother ball game.
It's a whole nother ball game. Like, I was scared. I can't even lie to you. I was scared because, again, I'm not really about that life like that. I mean, I'll squabble, but, all that violence and shit, I'm not a violent person. Yeah. So I came in thinking, dude, I'm about to get whooped, like, and it was funny because what I would picture is, like, girls tatted up, braided down, like, just buff, I'm like, man, I'm about to come up with some hitters. Like, I'm scared,
Yeah.
But, yeah, prison was nothing like that, but it was hard, though.
Yeah.
It was hard. And, but, again, my prison, again, I was vulnerable. I was weak, just still getting high, still drinking, like, still in my addiction. After everything, still in my addiction. Still couldn't get it together, and I was there for a couple years, a few years. And, I tried actually, what's that law, the 1437? I had tried applying or petitioning for that law. And, I got denied until finally another law came in. It was the SB 775, which is the extension to the felony murder. And I got action. So I really shouldn't even be out here right now. Like, my date wasn't until 2030.
God, that's good.
So I went from 21 years, I got resentenced to 12. So here I am, you know, and now it's like my life is like, it's beautiful. My life is beautiful. I take this very personal, you know?
Definitely, because like throughout that time, you had like some time to like grow, like to basically get everything out your system, but still understand that this is real. Like it ain't no more like because you didn't like that's why I kept asking like, did you do any time before then? Because maybe you would have kind of understood what it was like a little bit, and then you kept getting these slaps on the wrist,
or just getting away.
or just getting
I wasn't
away,
getting caught up.
and you got none of that. Like you just strictly got the belt. Like here, like you want to play, like but you still got a chance because that L didn't stick. But like it was like, you know, to the point where you understood it was real. This was real. Like
Yeah.
man.
And even just now, what I do now, you know, I facilitate groups at a rehab. So I feel like that's like my way of giving back, you know, to like helping those who like, if you could stay away from prison, dude, I'm going to make it happen. Like I'm going to, because luckily my job actually gave me my class. So I do justice involved relapse prevention. So it like allows me to like get in the justice part of it, because it's just substance abuse, right? The treatment substance abuse. But like I felt like that part is important too, because you know substance abuse does come with criminality. Not a lot
It's
of not
very
it's
important.
it's very more percentage of people doing criminality because of substance abuse, not just, you know, a lot of, I mean, yeah, people, I'm not going to sit here and say that people don't, you know, do crimes sober, you know, but like majority people are under the influence.
They under the
so and you have people coming in and out of jail that are in treatment. So I mean, if I could just be that advocate, like to stay away,
because
stay out.
now you got like, you know, you have a lot of times where people be like, you can't talk to me about something that you have no experience in. And you actually like I lived that life, like I seen what it is like, and that's why you're able to be here today and be able to, you know, freely talk about this without shame, because you surpassed it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So now you can kind of like give back and you know, and go all in with it, because you know, like you could look at somebody, you could probably see something I couldn't even see and be like, I know where that's gonna take you, like, and I just couldn't even explain it enough for you not to go down that route. But you know, like that's why I say it is very like important for us to understand, like through it all, like when God got a plan, God gonna make it happen. And it's like the ugliest times and the ugliest moments that it looked for, like that how it looked for us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like you finally get your chance where you get to rebuild yourself.
Yeah, because it probably wasn't even for me to understand everything
It wasn't,
I just went through.
it wasn't until now, and it was like, now it wasn't, I hated that you had to go through that, but because you was just like a lost child from a young age, and you know, and things that just affected you that wasn't even your fault. But you know, you had nobody.
Yeah.
You was the person to call. You called yourself. Like when it was who gonna show up for me but me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So
and it ain't over.
It's not
this
over.
This is just the beginning.
It
you
is.
know, like I
just
have like I'm gonna keep going to school, you know, I want to get certified as alcohol drug counselor. But I want to keep my education going. Like I don't know what way I'm gonna head, but I just know that it's, you know, when I finally, you know, accomplish a goal, my next question is what's next? Yeah. What I'm gonna do next? Like I just don't want to stop.
Yeah.
You know, because I take it very personal. Like I shouldn't be out here. Like I literally fought a life sentence and I'm out here earlier than expected.
Yeah.
You know, so for that, like I give, you know, thanks to God. You know, because if it weren't for Him, like, and even that I still even have my sanity. You know, like dude, like after all of that shit that I put myself through, you know, and just how I feel about myself today, like I'm grateful for what I have. You know,
and
like
you
I
got
have my
your
freedom.
kids.
Yeah, they're with my sister still, but that's another work in progress still. You know, but I respect it. You know, I mean, it was hard at first. You know, that they were kind of like, you know, but hesitant. But I was gone for years, so I get it. Now I'm finally coming to the acceptance. Like it's gonna come when it comes. It's gonna happen when it happens. You know, Maya's 12 now, and Jeremiah's 15. So, you know, they're little teenagers now, but...
So they kind of, like, stand off with embracing you a little bit?
No, they embrace. Okay. But it's, you know, the bond. We're still working on the bond.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, it'll come, you know, like, you accept fault, and you just kind of, like, move on with it. But now, because you had those moments of like knowing what you didn't have, it's like you can step up
Yeah.
twice as strong to, be the person that they need. And
Yeah.
so like, I'm thankful for you that you,
Thank you.
got this chance and that you are like trying,
Mm-hmm.
with your beyond best foot forward. Like, cause every day, like, man, it's a struggle to even just keep showing up for you because
Yeah.
you got to be right. You know what I'm saying? So it's a struggle, but like, and like you said, you are actually doing something to where you are like you giving back and you are you taking care of yourself and you just trying to be like that best person. So I just pray that from this moment out you don't those setbacks or whatever minor setback that you take it on the chin and you just keep pushing even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah. No, for real. Yeah. And I think that's the difference this time because now it's like, now I had to like work on myself to find that self worth, to find that self esteem. Like 'cause again, my change is new still too. I've only been clean and sober for 2 years. Because again, like I was still messing around in prison. And
Yeah,
so it wasn't until I finally came out and went to that program where I was like, all right, no more playtime.
I'm done.
It's time to get real. Like your life is about to happen. And so I made that decision, and ever since then, it's just been healing.
It's been
I've been
healing.
healing, and because prison wasn't. I mean, it's not for anybody.
It's not for
Prison is
anybody.
not for any. I know people are like, oh, I could do time, but it's like it's a distorted way of thinking when you could think that you could do time.
Yeah,
That's
I
distorted
mean, because
thinking.
it's like you can, but it's like who wants to? But then again, I think that it's a beauty.
Yeah.
It has its ways because um, we want. I don't believe that some of us would be the people that we are today if we didn't
Mm-hmm.
go through that discipline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you had to it just gets to a point where you find out what you don't want and it's like you get so sick of it, like, and it's like now like I that build that strength that when that innocence is stripped from you and it's replaced with boldness or not I'm forced to grow up.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
forced to like grow up and get it together and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay because like now we stand as women and it's just like now like that's why I say your testimony, don't stop telling your testimony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you.
Because it's
Mm-hmm.
people that they need to hear this, they need to understand because some people ain't gonna have to walk in the shoes that you walked in to just they listen, they might be like, oh,
I ain't doing
like
that.
I'm good,
Yeah.
and there's some people that might still fall short, but at least like like you just don't stop. Like one day your kid's gonna be like, damn, mom been through a lot, but she's still showing up
Yeah.
and appreciate you for that.
Yeah. That's the goal now, right?
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
That's the
Not like
goal.
allow my setbacks to like get the best of me. I'm
Yeah,
not doing that to myself anymore.
yeah.
You know.
So, man, a great conversation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we gotta get ready to close out,
Yeah.
but it
Thank you
was
for having
good.
me.
Yeah, no, most definitely, and I appreciate your honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And do you got like a Instagram, anything that you wanna like promote that you
Oh
want
yeah.
to shout out?
Yeah. You can follow me at Diamonds I'm Forever. Literally, it's just Diamonds I'm Forever. Yeah. And
Okay.
just come follow my page. I would
All
really love
right.
to, if you have any kind of like, I'd be more open to encouragement, support. If you're going through something, you could definitely hit me up. I don't mind, giving word of advice. Like I'm all about empowerment.
Most
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So again, thank you. Thank y'all for tuning in to Talent. I'm your host KG. Again, y'all make sure that y'all stay tuned for the next episodes to come. And it's like thank you for having us. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for
Thank you. I
just
had a good
welcoming
time.
us and just tuning in, even taking the time to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And my message for today would be for people like don't give up hope. Stay in alignment with
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that you feel, even when it's hard. And like I said, just keep showing up. Each and every day it gets harder and harder to show up. But sometimes you can be so close to your destiny. And if you turn back, it's like you'll miss it. So even just, continuously like pray and just ask God for the wisdom and the strength to be able to push through these moments even when you don't want to. So again, I'm KG LaFonsi. Thank y'all for having us, and we'll see y'all soon.
Bye.